And I would go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, get off at 4:30 in the afternoon, like so many of you all do. But on this day, 21 years ago, I went to work on a Monday morning. My heart was heavy because of what I had heard over the weekend about a little girl that had been kidnapped by the name of Amber Hagerman. She had been kidnapped, and police had no clues as to where this girl was. The police officer at that time from Arlington, Texas, his name was D. Anderson. He was working for the Arlington Police Department at that time. He was the representative that came to radio station WBAP. He came to the station while Amber was still missing on Monday. And he just, he sat down, and he and talk show host Mark Davis, they were talking about this, and they were just saying, we don't know, we need the public's help. We don't know where this girl is. We don't have any clues. Everything that we thought we did have, it was running into dead ends. Well, it was just before 9 a.m. on Monday morning. I called that radio station, and I shared with them. I took a chance. I put my life, I put my family's future, I put everything about me on the line when I dared to make that call. Because at the job that I was working at as a shipping clerk, we had a policy that you could not use the company phone during office times. But this thing just kept stirring around in my spirit. It just kept stirring. It just kept stirring. I just could not leave this. I just couldn't let it be. So I put my family's life, I put my family's future and everything at risk by picking up that phone and making a phone call to that radio station to speak with then D. Anderson, who was the police chief there out of Arlington, Texas, and Mark Davis. And Mark, I said, God, if this is you, first of all, don't let me get fired from this job for doing this. And second, I said, God, if this is you, if I make that call, I can't stay on hold, like typically you do when you call a talk show, a talk show. So I made the call, and as God is my witness, as I made that call, I was shaking in my boots. I was nervous, butterflies running all through my chest and everything. Nervous as a bank robber. Okay? But when I made that call went straight through. It went straight through to Mark Davis and D. Anderson. So now you got Mark Davis, D. Anderson, and myself all in a conversation. And so Mark brings me up on the phone, and he says, caller, what would you, caller, what would you, what do you want to say? I said, listen, I have a little ideal, and just hear me out. I have a little ideal. I said, you know how when you're trying to sit down and you're trying to watch TV and there's bad weather approaching the area, they will interrupt whatever you're watching and tell you that a storm is coming your way. They will interrupt whatever you're watching and tell you, they could almost tell you to the block what time the storm is going to get there, what the storm is going to do when it gets there, and everything. And when I finished with that suggestion, D. Anderson said, you know what? That is so simple. That is so simple that I believe something like that would work. And so that day, this date, 21 years ago, they said, no, let's just do that right now. Let's just do this drill right now, a protocol of it. So they gave the girls description, and they said, listen, let's just, everybody just stop what you're doing, just look around and just see if you see a car matching this description. Just see, you know. So it's just like, you know, listen, we're gonna stop everything. We're gonna break into everything and just everybody pay attention to what we have to say. And as a result, that's how the Amber Alert was born. That's why whenever you hear of an Amber Alert, you hear of it with the same urgency and the same fervor as you would as though still today, if an impending storm is coming your way, I mean, there's bulletin after bulletin after bulletin after bulletin. That's the same way I designed the Amber Alert to work. Okay? And so that's how America and the world here 21 years later has this Amber Alert. So Mark and Dee, you know, after I did that, of course, like I said, I couldn't stay on the phone long. So after that, Mark and Dee Anderson, they stayed there at the station fielding more calls. And we were on the powerhouse of North Central Texas. News Talk 820 WBAP. Powerhouse there, powerhouse station there in the Dallas-Fort Worth media market. And every caller after that called in and was saying, you know, that idea that guy had at the top of the show, that sounded like a pretty good idea. We believe it worked. And from that point on, that call changed the duration of that show. That call has changed the way America and the world responds to its abducted children. And ladies and gentlemen, I am the voice and I am the face behind that call. A lot of people have asked me, well, why didn't you, what did you do after that? Listen, I had no reason to think or believe that after sharing that this was going to be a national and a global thing. So I just simply hung up the phone, went back to work, and then my supervisor called me to their location. I've been caught. I've been busted, y'all. My supervisor called me to his location, and he said to me these words, and I'll never forget them. I thought I was fixing to hear, I'm fired. But my supervisor called me to his location and said, I heard what you said on the radio. He said, you've had some pretty bonehead ideals in the past. He said, but that ideal you just shared, that's a pretty good one. Okay? I didn't get wrote up. Okay? I did not get wrote up. I did not get fired. I was still nervous. They still insisted on the policy, okay, in place. Well, here's what happened. After talking to Mark Davis on that day, a few days after that, Mark Davis came to where I worked at 459 South Calhoun Street. He came there, he met with all of the other employees, came up, sat in my cubicle, and we were just talking about different things, and he was just elated to meet me as a result of a person giving him such of an ideal. And after that, I just went on with life. I didn't follow it. I didn't do anything. The principles were already in place. I knew what I had did. Other people knew what I had did. Supervisors knew what I had done. The radio station knew what I had done. Dee Anderson knew what I had done. And so I went on. And then fast forward fast forward, I guess about 10 to 12 years. I didn't really think about what I had done until I got the information that some people were looking for me. Well, listen, as a brother who's not done everything right in life, when you hear that some people are looking for you, okay, you just don't go running looking for them. Okay? I'm just keeping it 100, y'all. Okay? And so what happened was that I got in touch with the people. I got in touch with the people who were looking for me. And one of the brothers, who is now in heaven, said, hey, man, these people are looking for you and you need to find them. They're talking about what you did. They're talking about what you did on the radio, man, and they can't find you. Listen, I was so poor back then. Like I said, I was working as a shipping clerk. Okay, I think I was making about $7.50 an hour at that time to support a family of 6. So you know we were poor. Okay, so I could barely keep a phone on. We kept moving from house to house, so it was hard for people to find me. But when I found out they were looking for me, I went back and I found them. And when I went back and we were reunited, Mark Davis told me, he said, boy, where in the world have you been? And see, one thing about me, and you can listen to me now, okay? I have a very unique dialect. That's what God gave me, okay? A very unique dialect. I don't sound like a black man. I don't sound like a white man, okay? If you didn't know I was black and you were listening to me, you would not know what color I was, okay? And so, when Mark and them found me, he said, yep, this is the man, this is the dialect. I remember the call as though it was yesterday. Okay, this is what he said in 05. Remember the call as if it was yesterday. And so we talked and we renewed our acquaintances and everything. And, you know, I shared with him and I made him a promise and I made him a commitment. He said, listen, this Amber Alert idea that you had, man, it has blown up. It is all over the country now. Okay. And it came from these lips right here. It has blown up. He said so, and so he reintroduced me again in 05 on the same radio station again. And he announced publicly to the whole world that this is the man who created what is now known and used all over the world today as the Amber Alert. Well, when I moved here to Ohio, that was all done in Texas, okay? When I moved here to Ohio, we got ready to come forth. We purposely waited until until Amber would have been 18 years of age. 18 years of age. Okay? Why? Because when I got here, I met with a team of attorneys, Wittenberg and others. I met with the team of attorneys, and we discussed what would be the best way for me to come forward out of the shadows. Okay? And so we knew we had that from Mark and so forth. And they said, why don't you put it in the form of a book? And that's what this is right here. Okay? That's my book right there. He said, put it in the form of a book. That way, as it comes out, you can receive royalties from it and all of that. And I do. Okay? But herein is the thing. Let me just kind of do something here. As we did that, hold on just one second, here we go. As we were able to do that and to come forth in the form of a book, my team of attorneys who stood with me during the development stages of this booklet, they were sharing with me a couple of things that that I want to share with you. It was important. Why? And many people say, "Well, why in the form of a book?" Because it was important. And why didn't I come forth sooner? It was important